And welcome to the Cardinals Nest. This is the show where we visit about St. Mary's University athletics and get caught up with not only current students and coaches, but also alumni. And that's the focus of our special edition show today. I'm Dean Beckman, the St. Mary's athletics representative, and we have Donny Nadeau. Donny is our sports information director. And Donny, today, as I said, a special edition where we've been interviewing the past couple of weeks now our Sports Hall of Fame inductees that will be inducted at our Cardinal Excellence Fund dinner on March 12th. And Tyler Stevenson from the class of 2006 men's tennis player is another one of our inductees this year. The guest on today's show, exciting to have Tyler back.
Yeah, it is. And we kind of joked when when we first came on, it doesn't feel like it's been as long as it has since Tyler was roaming the court in Winona. And Tyler, let me be the first to congratulate you on being named into the St. Mary's Sports Hall of Fame. Very exciting, outstanding honor for you and
Donny, I think you're something's covering the microphone.
Maybe it's me.
There you go. I think it was you. So start your part over again, Donny.
I was, as I said, and I love to be the one to say this, but Tyler, I'd like to be the first one to congratulate you on being inducted into the St. Mary's Sports Hall of Fame. A great honor for you, and certainly well deserved. I got to watch you play for 4 years, and in my time here, my 28 years, there has not been a better men's tennis player than you, and you are so deserving of this honor.
Thank you. I appreciate that immensely.
Well, Tyler, you've gotten so many awards when you were playing tennis at St. Mary's, not only, St. Mary's awards, but also MIAC awards. And we'll get to all of that in just a little bit. But clearly the Sports Hall of Fame supersedes all of those. This is the biggest award that you can get. What was it like when you got the call? What were some thoughts that went through your head when you got the call saying that St. Mary's would like to induct you into the Sports Hall of Fame?
It was very moving. Just being considered for an award such as that is always a good feeling, and knowing that you did at least something right throughout your time, and kind of being around the program and being able to attend the banquet and see the other several of the members of the Hall of Fame class, like while I was a student athlete. You can get a real sense of what it means, and just being included among that group of individuals. Anytime your name is next to Donny's up on the wall, you're doing something right. So just being included with that group of people is a true honor, and I'm really happy to be a part of it.
When you got the call, Tyler, can you talk about, did you start to think back to your time here and what tennis meant to you when you were, you mentioned you're a chemistry major here at St. Mary's, which certainly I'm sure took up a lot of your time, but can you just kind of go back, hop in the time machine and go back to your playing time here at St. Mary's and talk a little bit about what those 4 years were like for you?
Yeah, I immediately started thinking of, how many of my teammates can I get to come to the banquet and, get to relive it with them, because, everybody that was part of the program has a piece of this. So, just trying to reach out to them and try to get as many of the gang back together. I know a couple of them have already signed up and such, but, I just kind of instantly had that, thankful moment of all the other people that were part of the program, from Coach. I reached right out to Coach Hallberg and thanked him and for all his support, and just wanted to really, be able to share this with everybody else that was a part of, my success, and get that doubles partner that carried through all those matches for so many years, make sure he's going to get there. But it was, just being able to share it with those guys is going to mean a lot.
I think, and I don't know if you know this or not, Tyler, but you're actually in some very rare company in that you will be the first solo men's tennis player to be inducted into our Sports Hall of Fame. Doug Luby is in our Hall of Fame and did play tennis and was an outstanding tennis player, but also went in because of his basketball prowess. You are a tennis only, and will be the first one that is tennis only into our Sports Hall of Fame. Does that mean
That's cool.
make it extra special?
Yeah, for sure. Just having a representative from the tennis program up there is to be that trailblazer and at least get one for the tennis guys. Get one up there, and hopefully that means like a couple more will be right and waiting in the wings to get in there next time.
Tyler, we talked earlier about your many accomplishments and said that we'd get to them. I just want to bring up a couple. First of all, your records as a tennis player. In singles, 64 and 18. In doubles, 51 and 24. And then the other one that blew my mind when I read it is that you were all MIAC 5 different times when you count both singles and doubles and multiple years. Those are just a few of your incredible accomplishments as a men's tennis player at St. Mary's, again, having graduated in 2006. Kind of what stands out to you as a highlight of your tennis career?
One moment I've been coming back to during this whole process of, kind of turning the gears back. It's been so long now that your brain starts to get a little fuzzy, but I remember it was our second to last match of my entire career. We were at the conference tournament, and I know we didn't have a whole lot of success before I got to St. Mary's from a tennis perspective. So I knew we had some rough years leading up to my arrival, but I was really excited for Coach that one of our last matches, I believe it was second to last, I could be wrong, at the conference tournament, we found out after the fact that we beat St. Thomas for the first time in the history of St. Mary's tennis, and that had never happened before. So finding that out afterwards, I was very happy for Coach, and obviously with all the success that school has in the conference, like it being able to be part of something like that was kind of special. Not just for us, but kind of all of St. Mary's athletics, and we really could feel like we were making some progress at that point.
If and we haven't even asked you this yet, and usually it's our first question, but how did you end up at St. Mary's? What was the process that brought you from Neenah, Wisconsin to St. Mary's?
Sure. I was not heavily recruited coming out of high school. A couple of D3 schools were kind of, I'd say, casually recruiting. My mother grew up in Rochester, Minnesota, so I've always been kind of familiar with the southern Minnesota area, and I always, coming over the bridge from La Crosse and staring at those bluffs and all the rocks, always gave me a special feeling, when I was going to visit my grandparents or my mom's family in Rochester. So there's always a small nostalgic feeling that I got from the Winona area in general. I believe I was probably 12 or 13, and I went to hockey camp in Winona for a full week with a bunch of my hockey teammates. So I was familiar with the area. And then Coach Hallberg came up to me at the state tournament for tennis in Wisconsin. We started getting into talking, and then kind of had an instant connection there, and was one of those guys like, I really kind of want to come play for him. And the summer, as I was making my decision, was when the school purchased the tennis center for that inaugural time. So being able to walk into a facility like that, which instantly bumped us up into the top 2 or 3 in the conference, and having that option of a school-owned facility such as that you could practice whenever you want to, it gave me a job while I was going to class. So kind of all those factors kind of came together, and I signed up, I believe, like the winter of my senior year.
Go ahead, Dean.
I was going to say, Tyler, what are you doing now? Kind of get us caught up to speed on what you're doing now, because you're back in the Neenah area. Is that right?
Yep. I am one of those COVID job quitters. So I am currently in between employment opportunities at the moment. So I'm crossing my fingers. I got another meeting once I hang up with you guys here, but I think we got one lined up, but kind of in between at the moment. Freelance.
I know You mentioned, Tyler, that that Coach Hallberg was instrumental in bringing you to St. Mary's. I don't want to spill any beans, but I do know that he's going to be inducting you next Saturday. Talk about that decision, because it's a big one. I know last year when I was inducted, I guess it was easy for me. I knew my two boys were going to do it. So what was the process to you selecting Coach Hallberg as your inductor?
For an honor such as this, I really didn't want to give it to anyone else. I know, obviously knowing him, I know what it'll mean to him to have a representative, and I couldn't imagine anyone else being up there with me during something like this. Very instrumental in getting me to this point. So there really wasn't obviously there was some other candidates, but the decision period didn't really take too long. As long as he said yes.
Tyler, I know Jeff is in Florida with the tennis teams, women's and men's teams now. Did you have a chance to take some spring break trips?
We had a couple, yeah. We were back in that day, we were usually Hilton Head Island visitors. I believe we did that 3 times, and then it was always a little tough for us finding matches out there, because usually our spring break was at a little bit of a different time than some of the other schools in our skill level. So we did one year go to Kansas City and bumped over to St. Louis, but always great trips. We'd kind of plot our way down to Hilton Head Island and play a couple matches on the way, usually in Kentucky. And then at least get a couple out there. I feel like we had pretty bad luck with the weather sometimes. So we lost a couple, but yeah, we were usually Hilton Head.
That's probably why they moved it to Florida. It's a little better weather than
a little more consistent.
You know, one of the things that probably gets overlooked a little bit, and you talk about the importance of those spring trips, is it really is your first opportunities to play outdoors. Because as you mentioned,
Yep.
you know, they play, the men right now have played 12 matches, and this week is the first time they've played outside. So
Sure.
talk a little bit from a player's perspective, the difference. What is the biggest difference between, and don't say one's inside and one's outside. What is the biggest difference between playing indoor tennis and playing outside?
Main one is obviously the wind and the elements. Inside you can get a little crisper with your shots. Outside you kind of got to slow down, just because you can't really go for broke with everything with more of the elements exposure. So it kind of, I always refer to it as kind of slowing the game down. You're not going for as many pure winners. You know, you have other things to deal with. Indoors, usually the courts play a touch slower, just because they're not exposed to the elements as much. So the surface of the court is usually a little rougher, if you will, and there's some texture to it still. And that'll slow the bounce down. But you know, indoors, with taking the wind and the elements and the sun out of it, you're usually allowed to go for a little bit more. You can hit the ball a little bit harder, and know that you don't have, well, you take one variable out of the equation.
So Tyler, did you prefer indoor then?
I did prefer indoor, but I think I might have been a little bit better outdoor. I was always good at kind of adapting to the elements, and I do think that probably gave me a little bit of an edge at times. But I would much rather play indoors for obvious reasons.
If you go back to your time at St. Mary's, what were your strengths? What was it that made you such a talented tennis player?
I was lucky enough to be born left-handed. So if I would have been a right-handed tennis player, I probably wouldn't have been nearly as good. But a left-handed serve coming at you in tennis is one of those weird things that it's very hard for people to get used to. So a lot of times, my serve was one of my better weapons as a player. Even though I was a shorter guy, I could still get a serve going pretty good. And with the variability and the weirdness of being left-handed, it gave me a big edge against a lot of opponents. But that, and then pretty much just being able to outthink people around the court. I won a lot of matches that I probably wasn't the better player, but I could outthink them and use strategy, which I really learned how to do my freshman year when I walked onto campus.
Mhm. So Tyler, another question I wanted to bring up, or not so much a question, just an observation related to your accomplishments. The 2006 Male Athlete of the Year at St. Mary's, that's a really hard award to win because we have a lot of great athletes, and every year St. Mary's awards both a female and male outstanding athlete. Your thoughts when you were announced back in 2006 for that award?
Again, that was just a huge honor. Being even considered, that we had a ton of great athletes on campus during my 4 years, and being even discussed for it was a huge honor. And then I didn't realize some of the records kind of that you discussed either until I was standing up on that stage, and I forget who the presenter was at the time, but they started rattling off these things, and I just remember having this surprised kind of look on my face, like, okay, I didn't really even realize that these were, important or good. So just being up on that stage and like I said, being included in groups like this is something that I'll never forget.
Donnie, Tyler said something, and it doesn't necessarily surprise me because if I remember correctly, Coach Hallberg is not much of a stats guy, right? He puts more of a focus and emphasis on the overall sort of winning, losing, and experience and what you learn from it, and really doesn't worry so much about the stats. And that seems to kind of filter down to the players too.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, the one stats that Jeff knows is how good Tyler was.
Yeah.
And you could easily, tell him his singles record was, X and X. He doesn't care. He just knows how good of a player he was. And really, I think when people nominate people for the Hall of Fame too, it isn't just numbers. It's who the person is as well, and what impact they made, not only on those 4 years of the program, but the program in general. And I think that that's the thing that as an inductee you can really take pride in is that people are looking at you not just because you won 65 singles matches, but because of the kind of person you are. And I think that's evident in all three of our inductees this year. It's I can always speak from experience now because I was here when all three of you were here. So I'm the grandpa of the crowd, but I did get to know each and every one of them, and they are good people. And I think that's just as important as what they achieved on the tennis court or the soccer field or the ice rink.
Thanks, Donnie.
So I've got to ask you, since I did have to do it last year, have you started preparing your speech?
I think I've had it written in my sleep like 3 or 4 times by now, but I was just talking to Brian yesterday, and he kind of wants some information out of me. I don't have it ironed out yet by any means, but I've lying in bed at night, it's definitely gotten written over and over again and torn up and rehashed out. But yeah, I think it'll come together in the next couple of days here. We still have a little bit of time.
Having played for him for 4 years and gone on trips with him, do you have a favorite Coach Hallberg story?
Oh, geez, Louise.
Got to be a good one. Come on, make it a good one.
Yeah, there was one match. We were playing outside, oddly enough. It was early in the season. I believe it was playing, I even forget who the school was. But I was having a dismal first set. I think I was down 5-0 in the first set in a span of like maybe 10 minutes. I couldn't do anything right. It was windy and cold. And I finally got to the end and I just wanted to get the set over with. So I just hacked the last game away and gave the guy the set. I'm like, all right, we'll regroup and we'll start over. And Coach Hallberg was about 6 courts down on the other side. And he's not really used to me losing too many first sets. So he starts getting on his bike and starts sprinting over to come and talk to me and figure out what's going on. And I remember just from 5 courts away, I'm like, Coach, nope. I just kind of waved him back. I'm like, no, I know what I did. I'll take care of it. And I think I ended up winning like 6-1 and 10-3 in a tiebreaker to win the match after that. But he was kind of surprised and wanted to come over. I'm like, no, I know exactly what the problem is. We'll take care of it.
You know, as a tennis player though, that's you really have to do a lot of that correcting on your own, because you know a coach is only limited to so much he can do as a coach during a match. You really do have to kind of make adjustments on your own, don't you?
In college, it gets a lot tougher when you have at least 6, potentially if the girls are playing at the same time. You have 12 matches going on at the same time, so the time management, or there's a lot of luck involved in terms of how you kind of navigate and which players you want to talk to, which ones do you want to leave alone, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's an individual sport that a lot of times you're out there. There's nobody can really help you in a singles match, and you got to kind of adjust on the fly in a lot of senses.
Tyler, have you been able to keep playing either competitively or recreationally?
A little bit of both. I was I haven't for the last 2 years, but I was involved in the USTA men's leagues up until about 2 or 3 years ago, with a group out of Milwaukee. We played. I grew up in that. Once I turned got out of high school, my father got me involved with the local team based out of Neenah. And then when I moved to Milwaukee for 10 years, and I hooked up with some high school friends and some local guys in the area, and we played down there for 6 or 7, 8 years. And that was always fun to at least still be involved, but fairly competitive, but still recreational.
And I know my last question, I know you haven't made it back to St. Mary's for a while. Are you going to get a campus tour and all of that when you come back?
I think so. We were. I was discussing that with Brian yesterday. I think we're probably going to try to meet up the day before and go over it. Last time I was back would have been it was a 10-year reunion.
Okay.
There's a class every year that's kind of specialized, right?
So it's maybe been 5 years or so.
Yeah.
Since you've been back.
Yeah. So that was the first time I got to see the soccer field and kind of the new track setup and all that. And it was awesome to be back. See how much town's changed too.
Yeah, it is fun, and I'm looking forward to just getting to see you at the ceremony, and I'm excited for you to come back and see St. Mary's again, because I know that it'll bring back very fond memories. I know that as I told you in an email, my son talks about you a lot, and Andy's very proud of you. He'll be there. He's gonna come to the ceremony, so he's excited to see you, and we're as part of the crew now, we're proud to have you as one of our members.
Thank you. Proud to be there. I'm glad Andy's coming. That'll be good to see him again, and get the whole big gang back together.
All right, that's Tyler Stevenson, one of our 3 inductees this year on March 12th at the Cardinals Excellence Fund Dinner into the St. Mary's University Sports Hall of Fame. Tyler, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you being on the Cardinals Nest, and safe travels as you come back to Winona soon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Can't wait to see you guys next week.
All right, that's going to do it for the Cardinals Nest. Thanks for watching.